Okay, so here we go. I'm live on YouTube, about to go live on Periscope. Flip the camera. Okay, here we go. Live on Periscope and YouTube. Welcome to the Monday night live broadcast. I just wrote an essay on Mirza Ghulam Ahmad and Adam. That's why the YouTube topic is, what did Mirza Ghulam Ahmad write about Adam? Did Mirza Ghulam Ahmad write that Adam wasn't the first man? Clearly, unequivocally. And see, this is sort of the problem with Mirza Ghulam Ahmad and his team of writers, is I think they're purposely not being clear. They're purposely deceiving, and in the terms of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's prophethood. Remember, it was the realization that I had that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad lied about his prophethood for 20 years, which really caused me to just say, I don't believe anything he's got to say, because he wouldn't claim prophethood, even though that's what he wanted to do. He slowly did it. And it's the same thing with his claim of being the Mahdi and being the Messiah. It's the deception that I personally have had a problem with. All right, so let's just check out the essay. I'm going to flip the camera here. Make sure you go to Ahmadiyya-Factcheck blog and check this out. It's per Islamic theory. Adam was created in heaven and placed on earth, thus proving that travel between earth and heaven is possible. All right, and feel free to read the essay. I'm going to start doing videos with essays as like a companion piece. So if you don't read the essay, you can at least listen to the explanation. So I start off the essay, and I'm just going to read off the essay. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was totally against travel between earth and heaven, right? The physics and science in the late 1800s, this is pre-Einstein. This is pre-flight. I think the only thing that they had was maybe some dirigibles, maybe some hot air balloons. We didn't even have flight. The Wright brothers came later in during Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's life, right? So, and we didn't even know about the planets around us. We had no idea about the moon, about the sun, the exact details of how things are. So Mirza Ghulam Ahmad denied it all. He grew up believing all this. He grew up believing that Isa alayhi salam was alive in heaven, because that's the most common Islamic belief. In fact, I'd say 99% of Muslims have always believed this. There's no evidence to the opposite that would say that they didn't. And Ahmadis are guilty of cherry picking. They'll cherry pick here and there and just show you this or show you that. In fact, Razi does it all the time. He almost does it on purpose to get people mad. He'll cherry pick. There's even a Dr. Israr Ahmad clip that he made a mistake and said that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad did some work for Islam or something like that, which he didn't. So anyhow, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was totally against travel between earth and heaven. So Mirza Ghulam Ahmad didn't know that heaven is a parallel universe. It's possible. It's scientifically possible. So he just denied the entire concept. He denied Allah's power to physically lift Rafa, Isa, to heaven. So there's a lot of things on this planet that are invisible. The wind is invisible. Oxygen is invisible. Many things that we still don't know about, right? So imagine in 1891 what they knew. They knew even less. So as a result of this, in 1891 in Azala Aham, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad denied the physicality of the Miraj. And he gave a hadith, not even an authentic hadith. But this goes back to the cherry picking. Ahmadis are the cherry pickers. They don't follow any hadith rules. They pick whatever Mirza Ghulam Ahmad wanted to pick, and that's the end of that story. So they also denied the physicality of Idris, aka Enoch of the Bible. Now we all know Enoch ascended to heaven and died in heaven in the Bible. So the Quran supported that story and said he was Rafa, right? So okay, so today's lecture or explanation is about Adam alayhi salam. Now Adam was created in heaven. Now, I haven't came across Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's writings on this. Where does Mirza Ghulam Ahmad say Adam was technically created? If he was created in heaven, and Eve, as we know in chapter 2 of the Quran, they were both created in heaven. They were not twins. Eve was created from Adam. And this is the Jewish and the Christian story. We come from Jews and Christians. We share a lot of beliefs with them. Right? So Adam and Eve were created by Allah in heaven. He made them out of clay. He made the jinn out of fire. The angels already existed, right? So they ate from the tree that they weren't supposed to eat from. So Allah said, now you have to leave. And all of your descendants or all humans now will not be able to get to heaven. The only way to get to heaven would be if you're like a good person, and etc., etc. Or if you're a Muslim. In Islamic theory, you have to be a Muslim. Even though there's a verse in chapter 2 about Christians and Jews, if they do good works, it's possible. And Mirza Ghulam Ahmad kicked out Abdul Hakim, the famous ex-Ahmadi, because he disagreed with Mirza Ghulam Ahmad on that verse. That's a different topic. Anyhow, the fact that humans were invented in heaven, created in heaven. So why is it a big deal? Ahmadis say, oh, like you meet the common Ahmadi on social media, say, oh, you're believing your Jesus is 2,000 years old. Why are you believing he's 2,000? Well, in heaven, there's no concept of time. The human body doesn't need food. The human body doesn't age. There's no concept of space-time. When you leave heaven and enter this universe, and depending on what planet you're on, you're going to age differently. Your height is going to be different. Adam was like 40 meters tall in heaven. On Earth, he slowly with gravity, like if you're on Mars, the gravity is different. The pressures are different. You could be taller or shorter based on where you're at. The majority of stars in the universe are red dwarfs. I think it's like 70%. So if you're on a planet that's orbiting a red dwarf, your eyes could be different. Your skin could be different. Everything about you could be different, right? So the fact that Adam was invented in heaven proves that the physicality of the mirage. It proves that Isa was Rafa up into heaven. It proves that Isa is going to come back, in my opinion. So okay, now, so what did Mirza Ghulam Ahmad say? This is the big question, right? What did Mirza Ghulam Ahmad say? Well, he never said, he claimed himself to be the second coming of Adam. And then he would say 6,000, 7,000 years since Adam. He never said he wasn't the first man in his lifetime. In his lifetime. Remember, after Mirza Ghulam Ahmad died, a lot of things came out about him. The opium use, we never knew. He never led prayers. We kind of never knew that. He never fasted. A lot of things came out. His death story wasn't clarified by the Ahmadiyya movement until 1923. So anyhow, so here's what we do have. In Malfuzat Volume 10, which was published in the 1970s, so it's open to tampering. In fact, the other big reference that everyone's talking about where Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said the law-bearing prophet is Wajib al-Qatl, that's from this same volume. Or maybe it's from Volume 9. Malfuzat Volume 9 and 10, this is in Rabwa. Where did they find this stuff to publish it all of a sudden? Nobody knows. So the story goes, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, a few weeks before his death, was talking to Professor Rag in 1908, whom Mufti Muhammad Sadiq claims that he converted to Ahmadiyya, which he didn't. Mufti Muhammad Sadiq lied a lot about conversions. He was in America. He had to show some success. No one would know. No one would double check. So he made things up. All right. So I have a reference from 1938 where they talk about Mirza Ghulam Ahmad meeting Professor Rag, and this question didn't come up in that. It's the Review of Religions, 1938. Check out my essay, and it's there. And for the folks on YouTube, let me flip this camera, and you can see, per Islamic theory, Adam was created in heaven and placed on earth. All right, and I'll add it to the YouTube page in itself. So okay, back to the story I was on. Okay, so here's what I have found, and I still got to go through the English Review of Religions to see if there's any other clues. In 1917, in Muhammad Ali's famous commentary on the Quran, on the verses in chapter 2, he denies it. He says Adam was not the first man. So let me give you the hypothetical theory here. The hypothetical, you know what? Let's wait. So the next thing in my essay is the Islamic position on Adam. Well, 99% of the way I understand the Quran is through Tafsir Ibn Kathir. You can look it up. It's available online. You can buy the 10 volume. Um, in Tafsir Ibn Kathir, um, who was a Mujaddid, he says Eve was created from the rib of Adam. So that's A. So how was he created as a twin? So Mirza Ghulam Ahmad says that he was a twin like Adam, but that's just not true. So even in 1907, in Haqiqatul Wahi, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said it again. He said it so many times. Okay, the official 5-volume commentary on the Quran, which a lot of Ahmadis don't quote, it tells us that mankind was born from 2 souls. And it's a metaphor that Eve was created from the rib of Adam. It's a metaphor. It's not even true. Okay, so moving on here, an unverified reference. I found a reference in Malfuzat Volume 1, page 387 that I'm working on. It talks about when Adam was made and created, and Mirza Ghulam Ahmad talked about Jupiter and Saturn and et cetera, et cetera. Then I found a Sahih Bukhari hadith on Adam, which anyone can find very easily. It says he was tall. He was a giant. All right. So now, chapter 7 also talks about Adam alayhi salam, and if I forgot to say alayhi salam, I apologize. But chapter 7 covers it also, and there's other verses. Okay, so now, but back to the hypothetical. When Adam came to the earth, okay, so in 1895, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad talks about. He's talking about the Hindu practice of niyog. That's when a brother will take on his brother's wife or something like that. We respect our Hindu brothers. We don't criticize their religion. If those are their customs, they feel free to do whatever. We don't say they're good or bad. We just say peace, right? Authentically, not even at an angle. Authentically. There's even the Temple of Rats, and we say peace. You brothers can do whatever you want. It's a free country. We believe in freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, etc., etc. So in Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's book, Arya Dharam, he talks about Adam, alayhi salam. So the quotation, and someone posted this on Twitter. I had to go and double check it. It was a bit off, but I was able to get it fixed. It's Rahuni Zain, volume 10, page 39. Arya Dharam. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad says, Baz Musliman. In other words, I wouldn't even say the majority. Some Muslims or most Muslims believe that at the time of Adam, there was no human being on earth. So Allah created Hawa, which is Eve, for Adam. So, and I'm working on translating the full page. Nevertheless, here's my opinion on what probably happened. So Allah sends Adam to Earth with Eve. They're already created. They're not a twin. They're already created. He sends them to Earth. Now, what technology does Allah have? Well, have you seen Back to the Future? Have you seen any science film? Have you seen Superman, the first Superman? Anything's possible, if you can become faster than the speed of light, which we know Allah is faster than the speed of light. So he's able to travel all throughout the universe in milliseconds. Faster than milliseconds, he's there. He can put us in a bubble, an oxygen bubble, protective bubble. It can be invisible. We wouldn't even see it. So how did all the animals? So currently, archaeologists believe in the out of Africa theory. Everyone came out of Africa. So it's possible that Adam alayhi salam was placed in Saudi Arabia, wherever, and then Allah placed other humans on the earth also, and animals. and vegetation, and etc., etc. Or he taught Adam all these things. What Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was arguing with the Hindus was, I think the Hindus said, and this is only because Mirza Ghulam Ahmad kept criticizing them. They began to criticize Islam. They said, well, Muslims believe that Adam's children were incestuous, and this is the Islamic creation theory. So Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was trying to respond to that, and his response is a terrible response. He shouldn't have tried to defend Islam. And this is what we tell a majority of Ahmadis: you guys need to stop. You're trying to defend Islam. Please knock it off. You're doing it wrong. It's disrespectful. Everything you guys say is disrespectful. To say is NASA looking for Jesus? You're disrespecting Christ. The country that I live in is majority Christian. I don't go to them and say Jesus is dead. I don't go to them and say Jesus is anything. Respect, brother. He's your God. We don't disrespect the God of Christians. We don't call him a gluttonous drunk. We don't blame alcoholism on Jesus. We just don't, on Jesus Christ of the Bible or any Jesus. Okay, so in Arya Dharam, that's what Mirza Ghulam Ahmad came up with. What I've come up with is Adam and Eve went to earth, began to have children, and Allah began to put other people on earth and animals and etc. Instantaneously, a minute later, 2 minutes later, 5 minutes later. No one exactly knows. Only Allah knows best in this case. All we can do is conjecture and come up with ideas of what we think. So I just wanted to make a quick video on this. I'm going to make quick videos about the different essays that I write as a companion piece. And that's all, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I have. Assalamu alaikum, and until next time.